everybody. In this video what we're going to do is to show you a few hints and tips about using locks, and also show you what type of windlass we use. We've got a selection. Oh, and I must say that most of these have come to me as a romantic present from Keith. I like this one, but I also like this one. We're quite often asked about the windlasses that we use. This is one that I use mainly for the Orland flight and the Adderley flight, and I like it because it's got very short throw and it suits this kind of lock. It's very quick and smooth. Excuse me for all this padding, but these cameramen, when you come out on a photo shoot, do keep you standing around a little bit. Okay, so notice the catch or the pawl is down when you wind the paddle. Always wait for that lovely sound. And to lower the paddle, lift the pawl slightly, keeping it ready in case you need to drop it down in case of emergency, and wind it down. Another windlass I use, this was a very romantic present from Keith at Christmas, and this is the Lockmaster ratchet windlass. Some people say it's heavy. I don't think it's any problem at all to carry around, and it's really useful on stiff locks such as some of the ones on the Trent and Mersey Canal. On we go. That's how you use it in a normal fashion. If it was on a stiff lock, you would ratchet it like so. Pull it back, and you can also extend this handle so if that lock were stiff, you could pull it back and forth. And then to lower the paddle with this one, take the catch out and lower it as normal. It's that one. This is a Dunton double. It's very, very light, this one, very, very smooth, and it's a slightly longer throw. So on some locks, makes it a little bit tight in distance, such as I think taily locks, you need to use a short throw. This might get stuck. So again, very, very light. Longer, but it gives you a little bit more leverage. And to lower again. The Dunton. Now this is one that we've had for quite some time. To be honest, I don't like using this one. Okay, but I'll show you anyway. Depending on the size of the spindle, so you could use it on the small one, and if you get a fatter spindle, put it on a little further. So on this one, it would fit the small spindle. There you go. And drop the paddle. lower the pole. That's that one. Like I say, it's there in case of emergency, but I don't like it. Now finally, we've got this little chap. This is called the Go Windlass, patent pending. And this is one that Keith bought me this Christmas. So romantic. So let's have a look at this. It has a catch there. You can use it on this to put this onto the spindle when you lower it, but let's put it on. Here we go. Now that catch, see, puts the ratchet on that way, and that one, press it in, and it's that way. So we're raising the paddle, bring it back on the ratchet, like so. Or I could, so if that was a stiff lock, that's fine, or I could just keep going like that, which is probably how I'll use it on most locks. Now to lower it, you can either do that, or depending on how stiff the lock is, straight on and down. And that's the Go Windlass. Tools of the trade.
Well, that was a great little presentation by Bernadette. She just showed you how all our windlasses work and what types we have. She did forget though that the bronze windlass, that was her 25th wedding anniversary. Who says romance is dead on the canals, eh? It's still alive and kicking. Right, the next part we're going to talk about, and I know it's probably people talk about it all the time, is lock safety. It's so easy to get blasé about things with locks. Well, you know what, we've done thousands and thousands and thousands of locks now, but we're still very wary of things, all the safety aspects and where your boat is and how it's there in the locks and that. We're very aware. Now, we know there's a wide variety of locks. We've done a wide variety, you know, guillotine locks, and we've done wide locks. We've done the narrow locks. We've even been on the Caledonian Canal and done them monstrous locks up there. They take ships and everything like that, but we still had our safety. We were still safety conscious, and we continue to be so. But this, what we're going to do, we'll just concentrate on the narrow gauge locks, you know, the narrow beam locks on this little safety thing. But it all matters whether you're on rivers, you know, or whether you're on sea locks or anything. The same principle applies. Safety, safety, safety. And we also know there's loads of different ways of you opening locks because there's different mechanisms. But we'll show you the standard one and talk about how we would approach safety in locks and what we think people should have to improve safety. Now, first, when Bernadette was showing you the demonstration and she lifted up the metal piece, what was like a hook, that's called a pawl. That should only ever be lifted off when you're actually letting everything down. When you were actually opening the lock, that should always be on, and it should make that clicking sound. You don't lift it up and do that. If anything happens, then it's panic stations and people can get hurt and have been hurt. So that's a safety feature which you leave down. When you're letting the paddle and the everything, you know, all down, going back down, Then you lift it and use your lock windlass. Some people, we've seen it, they've snapped the pin on a lock when they've let the spindle, they've tried to do it by hand, and they just let go and let it just fly down. That's not the way to do it. Some people think they've done it for years like that because that's how the old people used to do it years ago. But we're not there now. We should do it properly. And that means using your windlass. And when you lift that up, your windlass is on, and you do it in a controlled manner. And that's it. Dead easy. Now, the other aspect of it, do not leave your windlass on the spindle when you're moving the lock, when you're opening and closing the lock. Again, you could easily lose it, or it could come off and damage your boat if it's down below, or damage the person. You just take that off and leave it to one side, and you do all your work, and then you use your windlass again if you need to open the go on the spindle and open the lock gates, the paddles. That's just the way to do it. Speaking of which, when we talked about the pole, when you've finished, put that back as well, because not all, if it was a novice who was coming next, they might not know what that's about, and they might just do it without any safety feature and could hurt themselves. So always put it back once you've finished with it. So them are the windlass, how to use them safely, and don't do anything daft. Like I said, we have various ones to reflect various locks, and the ones what Bernadette prefer to use. She's got a choice of 5, and I've got a choice of 5. I know I keep saying Bernadette, but she does. It's an agreement that she does the locks more than I do. I normally do the steering, but that's only a nice agreement we've got these days. But we can both do it, and that's the windlass done. Yes, but we're not finished with lock safety. Some fenders are locked on that much that if they get trapped in anything, in a lock or anything, it's the boat what starts to tip, because the fender doesn't give, because it's secured low down as well as the top. A fender should be able to lift off if it gets trapped. If it doesn't, you're looking at a boat having a chance of being sank. A few other things. A couple of things what we don't like is seeing boats just banging into locks to open the gates. That's a no-no. Using that, and you see them slamming back. It may be done 200 years ago or whatever, but that's not the way to do it now. We've got better ways. We've got better, we've got better in understanding things. You don't do that. It's simple as that. You do not do it. The other thing, what you don't do, or what we don't like seeing, is when somebody goes into a lock and has the revs on against the front gate what's going to open, and the sills there, this is when they're going up, there's a big sill at the bottom, and they're rammed against it, and they're rammed against the front of the lock. It's bad enough if you haven't got a fender on, but many people without, they've no fender and they're smacking metal to metal. But other people have the fenders on, but we see so many who don't have fenders on and they're just up against it. Now, last year we saw it was nearly a serious accident. It just avoided it. But where the sill is, there's a piece there where the sill is, and it was lifted up. Massive it was. I don't know how the boat didn't sink, but the boat hooked onto it and lifted it up. He had his engine in forward against the lock. As it was coming up, it hooked onto it, snapped the chain. Don't know how the boat didn't sink. Brought it out and it fell forward. Lock out of action, and we had a stoppage. and that's through that technique. Try to stay back from them gates, definitely, either side. Again, going on to safety, we believe strongly that front and back fenders should be a safety thing and a requirement for every boat, because we see so many now going round without them. And you've got the other aspect of them. If one of them boats crash into you and they've not got a fender on, they will cause some damage. You know, and that's not right. If you've done everything right and then they come along and smack, because we've been hit a few times by a few boats, you know, and if that didn't have fenders on, the damage could have been a lot worse. But we're going to talk about the stern of the boat now. Where you have your swan neck and you have your rudder, people should have, a fender on the back as well. You should not have, you know, if you haven't, you're looking for trouble again. This is why boats have sank. It's still sinking. We get reports of boats sinking because they get trapped. And the simple thing is, where the V is on lock gates were open, sometimes there's a little gap there. And if your boat goes back and it gets trapped because there's no fender, or the fender's too small, that's the other, your rudder can get trapped in it, or even your swan neck. So you make certain that whatever fender you have on at the back, make it substantial, not one of these, as soon as it hits something it goes half the size. It needs to be wider than your rudder and your swan neck for safety reasons. It's dead simple, really, really simple. But so, again, some people don't, and that's where problems arise. So that's another safety aspect of it. The other part is when you go into locks. If you've got a lock, then a pound, then another lock, don't leave your boat in a lock filling or going down while you go to the next one, if you're particularly, you know, if you're on your own. But even if you've got a few of you there, if there's one on the boat and one above and something happens and you've walked off and the person's on the boat, it's panic stations. You know, it's not safety. Don't say I've got to rush ahead and get them locks ready ahead. Make certain the lock what you're using is used safely and properly, because it's madness. It's the same with any, you know, if you that's on any lock. That it's the same with staircase locks. Look ahead. Don't rely on the top lock being sorted. You always need to go ahead and check what the next lock in the staircase is like, you know, in the flight. Just check it before you start to do all your manoeuvres, or you can get into, it is easy to get into difficulties. Now I think that has covered most things for locks. Like I said, that was we was talking about narrow beam, but it means on every single lock. People need to understand what's what. We're just passionate about safety. We've seen accidents, you see, when you've boated as long as we've boated and done thousands of locks. We have come across things what have happened, and accidents. People have had, well, damaged. The jaw was one with a lock handle when it flew off the spindle and hit them. Damaged all the jaw at the bottom and the teeth. They lost a couple of teeth as well. You know, you get that sort of thing happening and it ruins everything. So that just give you an awareness of things. We've got our lock handles, which is all our romantic part. You know, we are passionate for our boat and everything to do with canals, and we know that shows you our locks, and that's a little bit of fun. But the second part was a little bit more serious, and I hope people take note. Right, we hope you've enjoyed that one, and we look forward to see you in the next one. Don't know yet, it might be our very last cruising one of before the stoppage is started, or we might give you another technical one, but that's to come. I don't know yet. But that's it. We'll see you next time one way or other. But for now, and as usual, ta-ra!